All right, welcome everyone to our last monthly officer webinar of the 2023-2024 school year. Excited to have you here. Small but mighty group, but certainly an important topic. So tonight's topic is planning for summer. There are definitely some important things to keep in mind as your executive board, as your brotherhood goes into the summer months. Should be having fun, definitely. Should be relaxing, definitely. Maybe having a job or going on vacation. Those things are all important, but there is still work to be done in ZBT land, and so we're hoping to give you some tips and tricks for how you can make the most of your summer months before the fall semester begins. So let us continue on here. So a little bit about the program tonight is a little bit of an overview. So again, why this webinar is important. We take several weeks off for summer at most colleges and universities, even if you might stay on campus or near campus to take classes, or that's just where you live for the summer. But there is still a lot of work that can be done and maybe should be done to keep your chapter going. To make good progress on your goals, to maintain good relationships between you and your executive board and the rest of your brothers, as well as alumni and other stakeholders. So we'll walk through a few of those things tonight, as well as touching on some housing recommendations, some tips related to housing if you have any kind of facility, whether that's owned or rented, whether it's maybe a satellite property that some of your brothers live in. Just some tips again to make sure that everything is buckled up and safe and sound for the summer. Stay throughout the rest of the webinar to complete the post-assessment. I will share that link at the end of the program. That is how we will get you credit for attending for that SOE point. And then again, finally, an overview. So we will cover leadership tasks. We will talk about external outreach. So those partners kind of outside of your chapter that you should maintain contact with. We will talk a little bit about housing, and then certainly we will open up for questions and answers. Feel free, though, to at any time type in questions in the chat pane, and we can address them that way, or simply raise your hand or just unmute yourself. We're a small group, so feel free to interrupt with any questions that you might have, okay? So I have a partner with me this evening. And so we'll just do some quick introductions. You should know me at this point. I'm Kristen Fouts. I'm the Director of Education and Leadership Development for the fraternity. I lead all of these webinars, usually with another facilitator, internal or external. And today I am excited to be joined by Ryan Wallishin. Ryan, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Ryan Wallishin. I am an alum of our Phi Epsilon chapter at the University of Virginia, and I am the Director of Chapter Support and Accountability at headquarters, which is a great way of saying that I help manage all of our kind of chapter operations and some of the leadership development for the boards in collaboration with Kristen. And then also I oversee all of our conduct and risk situations that we have. And excited to be here tonight to talk about summer.
Awesome. For better or worse, those conduct situations are keeping him plenty busy these days. So, but we are a good team, really all of us at headquarters. So I think that the key takeaway, and you'll see this slide twice, the key takeaway for this webinar is find some way to improve yourself and the fraternity each day throughout the summertime. Certainly in terms of personal development, again, whether that's working, relaxing, playing with friends, etc. That is all personal improvement. That is all a good opportunity for personal development. But also just keep the fraternity, keep your chapter in the back of your mind or on the front burner during summer break, and think of different ways that you can make small progress in certain ways, or maybe some big progress. So maybe you have time finally to make some big leaps on some goals, or to finally draft that vision statement that you've been thinking about, or finally get to map out a new recruitment strategy and so on. So this is the time to be able to do it without a lot of the other distractions of the regular school year. So just find small ways, medium ways, big ways, whatever suits your availability over the summer to take time for yourself as well as to take time for your chapter. So the first thing that we want to talk about is leadership tasks. So now, right now, before the end of your term, whenever that is, at the end of April, a week or so into May, whenever before your term ends, review all of your chapter goals, both personally as well as with your executive board, and identify what are those things that need ongoing attention. So certainly you might have some chapter goals that, cut off at the end of the spring semester or cut off at the end of this school year. That's fine. That's normal. But if you have things that need to have progress made in the summertime so that you can hit the ground running in the fall, or if there is any sort of pre-work you can do on those fall 2024 goals, again, take advantage of the time over the summer to do that. So pull out those goal worksheets that you might have created during your transitions, over the winter time, or over the last couple months. Identify what those things are that can or maybe should be the focus of these summer months, and just make special note of those. If anything needs to be delegated out, do that. The accountability does not end, even though summertime, is upon us. So take advantage of kind of, parsing different pieces out to different people, to take advantage of their time and expertise as well. I certainly hope that we will be seeing you in Washington, D.C. in July for convention. It will be my first ZBT convention, and I'm very excited. We have some truly incredible experiences lined up for really for all attendees. But it really, from what I understand, is a heavily undergrad attended program, which is super cool and actually pretty unique. Usually they tend to be a little bit heavier on the alumni side, but the opportunity for you to be able to go to a program in a city like DC, period, but to be able to go and experience the fraternity at a national level, seeing brothers from coast to coast saying and doing the same types of things and talking about the same experiences, being able to network, that's just invaluable. But then to be able to do some of the special things that we have planned in DC, those are experiences that you truly can't get anywhere, and it'll all be connected back to ZBT. And I think that's a really powerful thing. So definitely go on to the convention registration website. Convention or registration is open now. So be talking about that with your executive board, who is going to attend. Hopefully you have money set aside in your budget for at least a chapter president to attend, if not a couple other officers, to make sure that your chapter is represented, so that you have a voice in the business meeting as well. If you have questions about convention, we are more than happy to answer them. A lot of questions certainly can be answered on the convention website as well. Keep working on standards of excellence. So SOE falls under my professional area at ZBT. So I'm a little particular and a little passionate about SOE. Again, you have several weeks that you can take advantage of being able to kind of gather some information, submit some evidence, some proof, whatnot, for SOE points. So if you receive the monthly officer newsletters, pay special attention to the May 1st newsletter. It'll be coming out in just a few days. There is a one-pager that I created that has 26 easy to achieve, or what I call low-hanging fruit SOE points. So they don't require a big budget. They don't require extra programming. They are part of normal chapter operations that sometimes chapters still don't even take advantage of. So whether you were accredited this past school year or not, whether you had 10 points last year and you want to get up to at least the minimum threshold for accreditation, 26 points is a significant amount. That'll be a big boost. So be on the lookout for that. As always, please reach out if you have any questions, any trouble, any ideas related to SOE. I am more than happy to help, especially now that we have a new platform. Most chapters, I think, are having good success with the platform, but we are identifying a couple snags here, and we're able to, to get them addressed with Chapter Spot pretty quickly and pretty easily. So keep up with SOE, and in some cases, don't just keep up, but make some really good progress. The next tip is to take advantage of the time now, much less over the summer, to clean up your chapter roster. So you have members that are graduating, probably. You might have some that aren't planning to return in the fall term for whatever reason. Take advantage of the time to update the roster now, so that when the time comes for fall dues, invoices and whatnot to go out, that you aren't caught off guard with, payments or charges that you weren't expecting. So as soon as they graduate, or as soon as you are confirmed, with them that they are not coming back, make those edits now so that you can avoid any headache in the future. Finally, schedule bi-weekly, at the very most monthly, or at the very least monthly, I should say, but schedule bi-weekly virtual meetings with your e-board, just to kind of keep the relationships going, but also to keep the work going. So it could just be a simple 30-minute check-in, here and there. How are we doing? What are you working on? What questions do you have? Could just be getting on and, chit-chatting for 30 minutes. That's fine too. Also, potentially schedule a retreat, whether virtual or in person, depending on, where your brothers, where your fellow officers live. In the next slide, I will cover some tips for a virtual retreat, kind of how to make that work. But include an advisor, include a local alumnus, or any other alumni that might be involved in any type of advisory capacity with your chapter. Again, summertime, for some industries, they might get a little bit lighter, and so their availability might be better than it could be during the school year. So schedule those meetings out now, make them, sort of standard on everybody's calendars. And that'll help you make good progress over the summertime as a leadership team. Okay. So a couple tips then about a virtual retreat. So for better or worse, a lot of us in this industry learned some important tips about virtual programming and virtual retreats during the pandemic. So depending on how old you are in your chapter experience, you may or may not have gone through that personally. But you can still have a very successful leadership retreat or a strategy retreat using Zoom, using Google Meet, using Skype, etc. So especially again, when folks are, back with their families or kind of scattered around the country doing internships and whatnot, it can still be very successful. So a couple tips. So identify what platform you're going to use, what's going to be, most accessible, most user-friendly for the types of activities or the types of discussions that you're going to do. Again, we are now all familiar with a variety of those types of platforms. So just pick your platform. Determine your date, and most importantly, determine your objectives. So you might be familiar with the KISS acronym, keep it simple, stupid. A summer retreat isn't necessarily the time to go, 5 days and really diving deep into, into the nitty gritty of goals. Keep it fairly high level. Again, it's kind of a refresher, or what do we want to focus on in the fall type of thing. A little bit of reflection on the spring. But think about, is it really just going to be for brotherhood? Is this a fun time for us to get together and just kind of maintain those relationships and maintain those bonds? Is it going to be for planning? Is it going to be for setting our calendar for the fall, or just thinking about what are the things that we maybe didn't get accomplished in the spring that we want to now try to accomplish in the fall semester? Or is there an issue that needs to be addressed? So, perhaps it was, attendance at programs or risk management, whatever the issue or the biggest challenge might have been in the spring. Take advantage of the time to really kind of dissect it and think about what's the root cause of that issue, and how can we address that issue in the fall so that it doesn't continue to plague us as a chapter. So determine your platform, determine your date, and determine your objectives. A little bit of prep work goes a long way. You can have a slide deck or not. I think it's helpful for just kind of keeping everyone engaged and keeping everyone on track. If you want to do breakout groups, certainly some platforms do that a little bit easier than others, depending on the size of your board. That may or may not be relevant. Look for outside help as well. So certainly, I'm sure, Beanie has jumped on, a virtual meeting or two in his day as an advisor to, provide advice, or maybe even do a workshop on a certain topic. You have lots of alumni, lots of campus staff, even parents. I mean, we in a last week's Emerging Leaders Institute session, a brother interviewed his dad, who is in a manager role, about his leadership style. I said, that's great. A, he's accessible, it's easy, but B, he really truly has some good and important things to share about leadership. So take advantage of a variety of resources to help you work smarter and and still have a great experience for your retreat. Don't forget to incorporate fun. It's summertime, for goodness sake. So incorporate virtual team builders. You might already feel like you know each other, but there's always more. There's always more layers of the onion that you can kind of peel back with your brothers. Host a watch party. The draft is coming up. Well, you're not probably away from campus yet, but if there's some big game or some big event this summer, host a watch party, or watch a movie together or something online. Hop on, or I put discourse as Discord, of course, for a virtual game night or something. Um, Actually, let me put here in, well, I will try to. I have a link for a guide with a bunch of virtual icebreakers and team builders from a favorite blogger of mine, Michelle Cummings. So I will share that in the chat in just a couple minutes. Important, get resolution for every item. So you have your objective, you have an agenda. Don't just, kind of talk about things and then let them fizzle out. Again, delegate out certain tasks or certain items, walk away from that retreat, having a resolution, even if that resolution is that we're going to do more research about it, or I'm going to talk with so-and-so about it. That is still a resolution. That's still making progress on that goal. So make good use of your time, get a resolution for each agenda item, and then follow up. So whether you're the president or operations or any other officer kind of responsible for leading the retreat, follow up with everyone after the retreat. Here's the agenda. Here are the things we talked about. Here is going to take who is going to take on X, Y, and Z. Here's the time, for our next phone call, etc. So just like you would do for a normal retreat or maybe even an e-board meeting, follow up with a recap email. Okay, so virtual retreats can still be very successful. I definitely encourage you to have just one this summer. You don't have to have more than that, but again, maintain those relationships and maintain progress on your chapter goals over the summertime. Okay, I'm going to turn the floor over to Ryan to talk about external outreach.
Thank you, Kristen. So for external outreach, it's super important to maintain our social media presence over the summer. One option for this is to invite brothers to do takeovers. We need to keep up our presence so that people still know that we're there. Undergraduates that are coming into college for the first time are starting to explore what is going on and things like that. And so it's important for them to see, even though we're not on campus doing things and all of that, that we're still a presence as they're starting to explore what is there for them as they come to campus. This is an opportunity to start networking with those potential new brothers. Who do we know that is coming into our institutions? Who do we know from the pipelines that we traditionally recruit from? Are we engaging them? Are we making them feel special? Are we inviting them to participate with us when they come onto campus? If recruitment for you is for first years in the fall, this is really important. Even if recruitment isn't till the spring, making those relationships now have major dividends. So making sure that we're networking and collecting those people's information at a minimum, engaging them would be excellent. I've posted here this link to a BBYO resource. This page on the BBYO website. BBYO is a pluralistic Jewish youth movement that we draw a lot of recruits from. You can look at the areas that feed into your school. You can identify those regions. You can click on them on this page and you will get a contact email. You can email that person or that main email address and say, hey, we're interested in your graduating seniors that are coming to X institution. And more often than not, they'll be happy to help connect you so that you can, recruit them and give them the opportunity to join the fraternity. Updating chapter website, other accounts, similar to the social media presence, making sure that we're still active and around, that we don't go totally dark over the summer. As Kristen also said, with, the opportunity over the summer to really dive into things, if this is an opportunity to edit your chapter website and really do some major improvements, some improvements to your other social media accounts, this is the stuff that, maybe you don't have enough time for during the year between school and, social programming and other things like that. But over the summer, we can really dive into some of these other processes and, things that will assist us, when we have the time. connecting with alumni, emailing, maybe an interest or an involvement survey to see what they're looking for out of alumni programming, how they're interested in supporting you. Similar, keeping in touch with your parents club, or if you don't have one, establishing one. This is beneficial if your institution or your chapter has, a healthy parents weekend, program, to be able to get some parents as stakeholders, either to, donate time or resources, or just, money to be able to support those kinds of events so that you don't have to do them all yourselves. And also, both with alumni and with parents, it's often better to, communicate with them and take in information about what they're looking for, as opposed to trying to predict what they're looking for. Try and get that kind of outreach so that you can feel confident in the programming that you're delivering. Taking a road trip, do you have friends in other chapters? Are you able to go visit, other men in your chapter that you guys live apart? Making sure that, on top of the virtual retreat, that, are there in-person opportunities for us to bond? Are there in-person opportunities to hang out with potential new brothers? Those kinds of experiences over the summer. And, making sure that we're checking our email. We already could do a little bit better job checking our email during the regular, academic year. So definitely making sure that we're checking our, emails over the summer to make sure that we're getting important updates both from your campus and from headquarters staff to make sure that you're all prepped, for the start of the year. And housing. If you have a chapter facility, it is super important that we are preparing for the summer in the right way. Number one, clean. Doing all this work now at the end of the semester so that when you come back in the fall, your cleaning is, maybe minimal and you're just, kind of tuning up. Especially if we're leaving, things out that will spoil or will attract insects or animals or things like that. We really need to take care of that. I've seen some houses this semester that are in pretty bad shape, that really just, that bad shape is fixable. We just really need to put some elbow grease into cleaning the houses and making a commitment. And it has major dividends on, your ability to recruit. Believe it or not, a lot of guys make decisions on the house looks messy or not. So, being able to, again, lessen that burden on the come fall, to not have to rush to do that when we get back. Inspecting all the rooms in the house, documenting damage, collecting payments from security deposits, making sure that if, this house is owned by the fraternity, is owned by a private landlord, is owned by the university, that whatever those policies or expectations are in the lease are followed, in regard to inspections, damage documentation, and what's happening with security deposits. Any repairs that need to happen, windows, doors, gates, to make sure that we're in compliance with those leases and or if, different expectations from the housing corporation. If anyone is living in the house and this is permitted by your institution, making sure that the institution is aware, that, local police are aware. Have all the residents review your chapter's risk management document before the summer. What to do in case of some kind of emergency over the summer. Make sure that they're prepared to navigate those kinds of situations. Making sure that all non-essential appliances and electronic devices are unplugged, fridges, microwaves, all of those kinds of things, if no one is going to be in the house, should be totally cleaned out and unplugged for the summer. Major fire hazard, all of those kinds of things. So we really want to be on that. Also, if you're someone who rents, either from a university or private landlord, that could potentially get you fined or some kind of other, non-compliance consequence. So it's really important to be on top of that. And then any service contracts that aren't needed over the summer, make sure we're updating them. Do we have a cleaner? Do we have a meal plan? Do we have is somebody cutting the grass? Do we have maintenance scheduled? All of those kinds of things, making sure that that is not, happening over the summer unless somebody is there and the service is required. So that we're not, wasting any kind of money throughout the summer.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Two other things I would mention. So, again, I know some chapters, might have off-campus houses. They might have satellite houses where brothers live. Again, definitely note folks know that those are a quote unquote ZVT house, or on some campuses that's where social, in some chapters that's where social events are held. So, definitely letting advisors know if folks are going to be living there over the summer. Depending on your relationship with your neighbors, you might even just say like, hey, none of us are going to be living here this summer. Like, here's what we've taken care of, but here's my phone number in case you see or hear of anything happening. That's just good neighbor relations. Obviously you can offer to do the same for them if they, happen to go out of town. Um, Regardless of whether you own your house, the campus owns your house, or maybe even if the fraternity owns your house, feel free to always reach out to our staff at the fraternity's National Housing Corporation. Amanda and Natalie are fantastic. They want to be a resource for any chapter with any housing situation. Even if you rent from someone, if you're having issues with your landlord or questions for your landlord, if you want to buy a house, if you want them to buy you a house, etc. And of course, in this situation, if you're not sure how to handle a certain situation going into, a school closure, feel free to reach out to them. We can put their email, or at least Amanda's email address in the chat box. They really want to be helpful no matter if they own or manage your property or not. Okay. So as I said, the key takeaway for today is find some way to improve yourself, to improve your chapter, to improve the fraternity over the summer. So hopefully we will see you at convention this summer. Again, that's a key way that you can really kind of do both of those things at the same time. But just try to identify at least one way that you can kind of keep the needle moving when it comes to your chapter life over the summertime. So that's it. A short and simple, but information-packed webinar. We will be happy to open this up if you have any questions. Again, feel free to unmute or type in the chat pane if you have any questions, and then we will wrap up. I'll give you just a minute here in case. Zane's good. Zach's good. Beanie, anything you would want to add? I know you're in a tractor right now, but anything you would add or any questions you might have?
Nothing for me. Sorry, I've been having to check out two other tractors in the process, but no, I think you guys covered a lot of what you need to worry about for summer. I think the big thing is if you both guys under our presence, getting the rest of your e-board on the same page, and if you can't get a hold of them, then if you're still in the same town as them, just go talk to them. I mean, sometimes the guys won't get back to you in summer. You just need to get in touch with them. I mean, there's got to be some way to get a hold of them, and if they don't get back to you, that's might be a sign that there's going to be issues the rest of the year. So have their big bro or their little bro hit them up, but you guys need to make sure there's start with clear communication.
Yeah, that's a great point. Make sure that you have, at least one or two ways to get in touch with your brothers. Know, like, if they're going abroad, how you might reach out to them, especially your executive board officers, as well as, of course, your alumni and advisors too. There might be a situation, something that comes up in the summertime. It's rare, but it could happen, that you actually have to take a vote on. Maybe it's a financial matter, like, are we going to do this or not? And so you need to be able to get in touch with folks and get their opinion, to get their official vote at times, before you can really take action on something. So be sure to have a good, thorough, contact list with at least a couple ways that the brothers are going to be dependable on responding. So again, thank you for being here. Enjoy the summer, first and foremost. Have fun, second most important. Actually, I suppose first most important should be safe. Be safe, have fun, enjoy yourself. And definitely keep in touch, because again, we, unfortunately, don't get the summer off, but we do definitely keep working just like your campus staff. So if you have questions, if you have trouble, if you have an idea, reach out to us. We want to hear it. We want to continue to be helpful for you. I am going to put the post-assessment link here in the chat pane. So even though we wrap up, feel free to click on that and complete it. And that way we will get you your credit for attending. But we are very appreciative of your time. We hope that you have a good rest of your term. Good luck on your final exams and your final projects. and keep in touch with us. Okay, we appreciate it. All right,
Thanks,
have a good
guys.
evening.
Appreciate it. Beanie, I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, we will.
All right, later, guys.